Good evening, everyone. This is going to be chapter 1 of California Real Estate Practice. This is the 10th edition by Walt. You can find it on Red Shelf, and you can find it at Educational Textbook Company's website. Chapter 1. Chapter 1. The Salesperson and Getting Started. So it begins. Congratulations on taking this practice course, an important step towards obtaining your real estate license and beginning a career in real estate. Now is the time to set your goals and focus on how to achieve them. Always put your short-term and long-term goals in writing and review and revise them at least once a year. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Keep abreast of changes in the industry, like smartphone applications that improve your work performance. That will be reviewed in Chapter 8. You need to know what your job description is, what is expected of you, and how to be the best to perform your duties that will lead to a rewarding and successful career in real estate sales. People will buy and sell real estate in all types of economic conditions. As real estate is cyclical, the only constant is change. Buyers and sellers search the internet and have not eliminated the need for a broker. Wait, let me read that again. That's kind of a weird sentence. Buyers and sellers researching the internet have not eliminated the need for a broker. They spend an average of about 12 weeks researching prices, neighborhoods, and financing before coming to real estate agents or brokers to physically show them properties and guide them through the negotiations of buying a property and finalizing the sale through close of escrow. More than half of listings views are done on mobile devices, being seen. I'm struggling. So I should say this right at the beginning of this, you guys, I do have a cold. And so I'm trying, and this is my first run at this whole entire process. So let's start over. And what I'll do is when I upload this, I'll delete it off of Twitch. But when I upload it to YouTube, we'll start over. So we'll start over here. Okay, let me make sure I have all my screens and everything up. I do. Okay. So in Chapter 1, the salesperson and getting started, let's go from here. The first section says so it begins. Wow, I'm not doing very good at all. I might need to restart completely. Oh, maybe it wasn't a good idea to get out of bed to do this. Let's start over. Where was I sharing? I'm sharing my screen. So let's share the screen. This series I want to start tonight is on, I have students that reach out to me and say the book is just really hard to read. And I'm with you on that right now, especially because I don't feel well. But I am serious when I say, if you can't sleep, let me bore you with California real estate law. I want to read through the book, and I'm going to try to do a chapter a day. The book that we're going to be reading out of is California Real Estate Practice, 10th edition. It is by Walt. I do teach this course at UCLA. I teach it at Glendale Community College, and I teach it at Los Angeles Harbor College, if you're interested in jumping into any of those colleges and having me as an instructor. So we're going to start again. Chapter 1, page 1, the salesperson, getting started. Congratulations on taking this practice course, an important step towards obtaining your real estate license and beginning a career in real estate. Now is the time to set your goals and focus on how to achieve them. Always put your short-term and long-term goals in writing and review and revise them at least once a year. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Keep abreast of the changes in the industry, like smartphone applications that improve your work performance. And there'll be more information about that in Chapter 8. You need to know what your job description is, what is expected of you, and how to best perform the duties that will lead to a rewarding and successful career in real estate sales. People will buy and sell real estate in all types of economic conditions, as real estate is cyclical and the only constant is change. Buyers and sellers searching the internet have not eliminated the need for brokers. They spend an average of 12 weeks researching prices, neighborhoods, and financing before coming to a real estate agent and broker to physically show them properties and guide them through the negotiations of buying a property and finalizing the sale through the close of escrow. More than half of listing views are done on mobile devices before seeing them in person. Our brick and mortar offices are generally getting smaller, with computer desks and conference rooms as shared spaces, but are still necessary to convey a favorable image and for a physical location to interact with clients. This is where expertise and counsel comes in. The internet has no heart or compassion for the very emotional and sometimes overwhelming process of buying and selling a home. Chapter 1, page 2 has the outline, so we're going to skip to page 3. As a real estate professional, you should have access to and experience in filling out the numerous required forms, disclosures, advisories, and contracts that take purchase from listing to the close of escrow. So for example, without the expert knowledge of a real estate licensee, a buyer could miss one little box on a form that might cost that buyer or seller thousands of dollars, more than justifying the cost of any commission paid to a broker. Make no mistake, real estate is a personal service industry that requires the expert knowledge of a trained licensee. And while much of the preliminary footwork is now done through online viewing by buyers, brokerages aren't going anywhere. Get all the support you can. It's important to have the support of family members. Your time will not always be your own. You may have to show property on Sunday afternoon or sit in an open house on your listing or another agent's listing. Many real estate tasks demand evening availability when both clients are usually home or your family meals are not always going to be together. Some creative time management will need to be made by all. You need 6 months savings or more for NAR, CAR, boards, and MLS fees, which stand for the National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors, any boards that you want to become a member of, and the MLS is the multiple listing service. It is also extremely important to have saved at a little nest egg to meet your financial obligations for approximately 6 months, as there is frequently a lag time of at least 2 to 3 months prior to receiving your first commission. Your client's needs should be your first priority, not your concern about paying your personal bills. If your expectations are realistic, you should be able to enjoy an adequate standard of living while building your new career and wealth. Remember, the real estate profession is a marathon, it is not a sprint. Now, brokers are going to know when you have passed the salesperson exam. When you apply and pass the California State Real Estate Exam, you will be inundated by solicitations from various offices wanting to interview you. The California Department of Real Estate makes your name and phone number a matter of public record when you pass the state exam. Page 4. Some solicitations will be franchises and some will be independently owned offices. Therefore, finding a sponsoring broker, a real estate office in which to hang your license should not be a problem. However, selecting the right environment for you that complements your knowledge and experience is the most important choice that you're going to make at this time. You do not have to have a broker when you apply for your license, only when you get hired. Avoid changing from one office to another, as it is often an expensive and emotional transition. Not only will you need to start anew, learn the office procedures, meet new associates, purchase new business cards, and other necessary advertising items, but you'll also need to contact your whole sphere of influence to let your contacts know of your move and how to reach you. Sphere of influence. A sphere of influence is your network or your niche. It's made up of the people you know, including friends, neighbors, family, business associates that you contact regularly. Social networking sites such as X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, have vastly increased the agent's sphere of influence, as well as sped up the process of putting a listing before the public eye. A geographic farm is a specific neighborhood or community or zip code in which you solicit for real estate business. The goal is to establish the brand yourself as the local community expert and develop a relationship with potential clients who will choose you over your competition when it comes to buying or selling real estate. More importantly, while considering a move, it's hard for any agent to be productive as the move may drain time and energy away from clients' needs. So take your time interviewing and be wise in your selection of a sponsoring broker. Interview with at least 3 different brokers. If you need a lot of training or mentoring, your initial commission will naturally be lower, but you will gain the confidence and experience that you lack. Broker interviews. How you select an employing broker. One good broker source is a personal referral for buyers and sellers or other agents who are pleased with the services rendered to them. Successful agents work for brokers with good reputations. That's where and with whom you want to be associated. Your reputation as an agent is directly related to the reputation of the broker you select and the other agents with whom you choose to work. Observe the real estate signs, advertising, and the broker's website in the areas you plan to service. If one company overshadows all others, then you may want to interview with its broker or office manager. The majority of buyers and sellers will have shopped the internet prior to buying or selling a home. Another way you can locate a broker in good standing is by calling the local board association of realtors. You may also want to get on the internet and check out page 5, listings from various websites, checking the various brokers' presence in the industry and how they present themselves. In fact, the majority of buyers shop the internet prior to even contacting an agent and purchasing a property. There are numerous local association of realtors that operate under the umbrella of the California Association of Realtors and the National Association of Realtors. These regional organizations are a force for good and the betterment of their practitioners and the public they serve. The association may operate a multiple listing service where realtors electronically or digitally place the listing they have for sale for the benefit of the membership and their clients. A local multiple listing service can now share listing information with numerous sources available to the public, including local and national websites and newspapers. Increasing the exposure of a listing greatly increases the likelihood of a sale. Note, new salespeople must belong to the local board or association of their employing broker. The cost for belonging to a local board or association that are associated with the California Association and the National Association is approximately $1,000 a year. The trademark Realtor, REALTOR, may be used only by members of the National Association of Realtors. Page 6. The appointment. You may need to make an appointment for approximately 1 hour with a broker of your choice, preferably at their place of business, so that you can form an opinion of their facilities and the other agents in the company. Be prepared to fill out an application for sales associate. Remember, first impressions are important, and your goal should be to strive for professionalism. Remember, you and the broker are interviewing each other. What questions to ask? What are your startup costs? You probably will be considering you will probably be considered an independent contractor, and it's important to start the relationship positively. Some brokers charge a monthly desk and telephone fee. These can be a minimal, such as $25 a month, all the way to thousands of dollars per month, depending upon what's being offered in benefits and your commission split. There's a substantial annual fee to belong to the California Association of Realtors, National Association of Realtors, and the MLS. So who pays for your expenses? You need to know what the broker pays for and what you are expected to pay for. The cost of signs, the for sale signs or the open house signs, the cost of having signs put up and taken down, multiple listing service input information, business cards, stationery, literature, brochures, newspaper and magazine advertisements, telephone charges, desk fees, additional forms like zip forms with the California Association of Realtors, trade magazines, local chamber of commerce membership, yellow page advertisements, the internet website and email addresses associated with your broker. Page 7. Most offices have their own websites where their listings appear with links to other related sites of interest, such as www.realtor.com. Promote your domain name on all your advertisements, your yard signs, and your mailers. And don't forget to include your Department of Real Estate license number. A catalog of zip forms can be downloaded to all of your mobile devices and your desktop or notebook computer. This is free with the California Association of Realtors membership. What are the new salesperson requirements? That's a great question. Brokers expect their agents to have a clean and operable car with adequate insurance to cover any liability while showing properties. Most brokers will insist that they also be protected under your policy. For safety and liability issues, most agents prefer to meet a client at a property. Professional liability insurance is a must. Most brokers carry what is known as errors and omissions insurance, or E&O insurance, which is usually paid or by the salesperson at the close of escrow. It can be paid yearly or on a per transaction basis. The cost of this professional liability insurance depends on the broker's claim history. As with most types of insurance, there usually is a deductible, which can range from $1,000 to $10,000 per claim. When being sued, you can anticipate losing the deductible immediately. Therefore, a low deductible is what you are hoping for. So take heed. In your career, the book says you will be sued. I've been in it for 23 years, I haven't. A home buyer who finds something wrong, even tiny, might look to sue an agent and broker. Errors and omissions insurance or the liability insurance protects against that inevitability. An owner trying to sell his or her own home will probably not have the insurance, yet another reason he or she or they should use a licensed professional to complete a transaction. Will your broker contribute a reasonable amount should you be found liable in a lawsuit or arbitration judgment? Regulations require that all agents sign a contract with their broker. The California Association of Realtors Independent Contractor Agreement, or ICE, between broker and associate licensee contract form is often used for this purpose. Professionalism will lead to a successful real estate career. A genuine care for the client's needs and goals will go a long way towards goodwill. What training and support will I receive? Some companies will send you to a school for a week or so. Others will have an in-house trainer teaching the use of forms and various closing techniques. Still others will have a seasoned agent as a mentor checking with the new salespeople on a regular basis, answering their questions, making suggestions on how to improve their performance, and accompanying them on appointments. Practicing on a client can prove expensive for all concerned. Don't let pride stand in the way of asking your broker's guidance if you need it. Page 8. Additionally, there's a wealth of training and seminars at the local Association of Realtors offered free or for a very minimal fee to their dues paying members. These classes and seminars, these classes and seminars address the multifaceted real estate industry's need for technical support and the constant legal changes brought on by this dynamic field. Mentoring is hands-on. Experiencing and is meant, let's read that again. Mentoring is hands-on experience and is meant to improve your performance or help you to attain a required level of skill. A salesperson must work under the supervision of one broker at a time. The broker owns the listing and pays agents their commission. What is my portion of the commission? Well, commission splits are detailed on the percentage belonging to you and what percentage belongs to your broker. You need to know when and how your broker pays your commission. You must remember that not all agents are on the same commission split. Most seasoned agents with a good track record receive a high percentage than a brand new, untried agent. To encourage higher productivity, many brokers offer bonus incentive after a certain amount of commission has been earned by an agent. This escalating type of commission benefits both the broker as well as the agent. No matter how high your commission, a percentage of nothing is still nothing. So with a straight commission, the broker usually does not charge a desk fee, but pays the agent a commission based on a percentage of the selling price at the close of escrow. The agent usually pay their own multiple listing service fees. A 100% commission refers to any commission payment arrangement between a real estate salesperson and the employing broker, in which the salesperson handling a real estate transaction receives most of the commission earned by the office. In this case, the salesperson usually pays the broker a monthly desk fee and a proportionate share of the office expenses, such as advertising, clerical and secretarial, telephone share of the office expense. Sorry, I just said that. Let's read that sentence again. In this case, the salesperson usually pays the broker a monthly desk fee and a proportionate share of the office expenses, such as advertising, clerical and secretarial, telephone, and multiple listing services. The salesperson may pay for all expenses incurred in addition to a flat monthly fee, which may total more than $1,000 per month. A 100% commission arrangement allows an employing broker to charge a $750 to $1,000 desk fee to supervise sales people. All fees and commissions are dispersed through your broker. The 100% commission plan is not appropriate for you as a new agent for the obvious reason that you still have much to learn about the real estate business. You cannot be expected to pay an adequate and proportionate contribution to the company at such an early stage in your career. What are the miscellaneous benefits? Some brokers provide additional incentives, such as to successful, let me say that again. Some brokers provide additional incentives to successful salespeople to assist them in attending educational seminars offered by local, state, and national boards of real estate. Real estate certificates and degrees are available through many community colleges and many educational institutions. The broker may also permit salespeople, or the more successful ones at least, to purchase their own residence without having to pay some or part of the commission, whether the final compensation plan arranged. You and your broker, excuse me, the students are sleeping. Language, ladies, language. Let's go back to the end of page 8. Whatever the final compensation plan arranged, you and your broker should avoid any misunderstandings, page 9, by having these and other details carefully spelled out in writing and signed in an independent contractor agreement. It's important at this time to disclose your past work experiences, how much time and effort you plan to devote to all aspects of your real estate career, including ongoing education, as this may bring about a favorable split. Let's remember that in order for an office to be successful, there must be a reasonable margin of profit for both the broker and the associates. Presenting a first-class picture to the real estate industry and to the client bears a cost that should be, presenting a first-class picture to the real estate industry and to the clients bears a cost that should not be overlooked. You may be asked at this time to fill out an application for sales associate. As a new licensee, it's important to feel comfortable in your new work environment. Large versus small offices. So don't forget, small offices may have a large internet presence. It pays to do a little research before you interview with a broker. As a new agent, you'll want to examine the size of the company for which you want to work. Keep in mind that a firm's growth potential may be the opposite of what you expect. For example, a corporate-owned business may decide to remain small, while a sole proprietor may choose to go big, opening up a number of branches, offices, and hiring as many as 60 licensees or more to staff each. Size invariably determines the types of technical and managerial decisions that confront a firm, as well as training and opportunities provided to new agents. In general, the small firm tends to remain flexible, thus better able to seize upon opportunities with no need to obtain corporate approval. Its activities are limited primarily to selling. However, to attract buyers, it's important that there be several good listing agents in the company to increase its inventory. The large firm, by contrast, is diversified, can develop capital more readily, is less flexible, and must carry a high burden of overhead, including extensive training, with less accurate control of its resources. It cannot hurt to ask about a company's long-range growth plans and how you fit in before deciding where you want to work. Independent contractors and employer relationships. A salesperson who is actively engaged in professional real estate activities must be employed by a licensed real estate broker. Commissions are only paid to brokers who then split that commission with their agents depending on the independent contractor agreement. Page 10. Independent contractor agreement highlights. Here are some highlighted sections of the California Association of Realtors Independent Contractor Agent Agreement. Independent contractor relationship. This paragraph establishes the associate licensee's status as an independent contractor to the maximum extent permissible by law. That's number 3. Number 3G. This advisory warns brokers that failure to carry workers' compensation on associate licensees may result in the issuance of stop work orders and fines of up to $1,000 per agent, not to exceed $100,000 per company. Section 5, proprietary information and files. This establishes that the broker owns all listings, files, leads, transaction documents, and other agreements. They are taken and performed in the broker's name. Number 6, supervision. This paragraph focuses on the ways in which the broker will supervise the associate's licensee's work, such as the licensee submitting within 24 hours certain documents to the broker for review, including documents connected with any transaction in which the associate licensee is a principal, whether or not the property is listed with the broker. Number 8A, compensation to broker. In this paragraph, brokers set forth their ordinary commission rates by filling in the blanks or attaching a commission schedule to the contract. So under the California law, all commissions are negotiable between the client and the broker. The licensee must obtain the broker's permission to charge a different fee that does not match the broker's rate schedule. 8B, compensation to associate licensee. This paragraph provides that the licensee is entitled to a share of a commission only when the commission has actually been collected by the broker. The broker has a right to enforce payment, but is not obligated to sue the client or otherwise try to enforce the listing agreement. It is important to note that brokers who do not fight to uphold their licensees' rights will quickly lose their agents and their reputation as a fair broker. 8F, commission upon or after termination. Both parties agree that the broker owes the licensee his or her share or their share of the commission, even if terminated with cause. If the licensee has not completed all work on the transaction prior to termination, the work must be finished by another licensee or broker. Whoever does the work is entitled to a reasonable compensation, which is offset from the terminated agent's share of the commission. Number 9, termination of relationship. Broker or associate licensee can terminate the relationship at any time with or without cause. Number 13, indemnity and hold harmless. This section concerns responsibilities for liabilities or expenses the broker incurs as a result of the associate's handling of a transaction. Many brokers will check the first box, leaving the agent with the full responsibility of the liability. Others may share the responsibility proportionately to the extent of their respective shares of the commission earned. Page 11. Number 15, mediation of disputes. Both parties agree to submit to mediation before going to the court. If unsuccessful, they may agree to arbitration as an alternative. Number 16, binding final arbitration. All claims or disputes between broker and associate licensees are resolved pursuant to paragraph 15, shall be submitted to binding arbitration. In California, all salespeople working under a broker are considered employees for the purpose of administration of the real estate law, even if they act as independent contractors. An independent contractor sells results and receives commissions rather than being paid for a set number of hours, and is not subject to control by an employee over how or what work they do. An employee, however, on the other hand, works under the direct control, designated hours and breaks, and supervision of the employer. A broker associate is a broker who works as a salesperson for another broker. The California Department of Real Estate, or the DRE, considers a salesperson an employee of the broker for the purpose of administration of the real estate law. Even if she or they is an independent contractor or an employee paid by the hour with no written contract confirming them as independent contractors for tax purposes. This makes the broker responsible for the supervision of the real estate activities of their salespeople. In most real estate offices, the salespeople are hired as independent contractors. They come and go at will, working no fixed hours and paying their own estimated taxes, which are the federal and state income taxes, Social Security, Medicare, unemployment insurance, and state disability insurance. On the other hand, more strictly supervised set hours and dress code workers, such as secretaries and assistants, are generally considered employees. The broker is required to carry workers' compensation for all salespeople who are independent contractors in the same way they do for their employees. Your planning objectives and goals. Now that you've carefully selected your office, it's important to set a real estate goal, draw a blueprint, and follow it. Without defining objectives or setting goals, you are entering. We'll start that over. I gotta blow my nose. Of course, I had to mute myself when I blew my nose. Sorry, guys. I hope you're still sleeping. You're planning objectives and goals. Now that you have carefully selected your office, it is important to set realistic goals. Draw a blueprint and follow it. Without defining objectives or setting goals, you are entering the workplace without a vision as to what you want to accomplish and how to get there. Knowing how much money you need to make per year helps you define your monthly and weekly goals. How many people must you usually contact prior to getting a listing appointment? How many showings do you normally make before writing an offer? Plan your work and work your plan. Ideally, goals ought to be in writing because they then have visual impact and are more readily examined and reviewed. Abstract and unrealistic goals will become more apparent if written. Certain real estate activities bring about better results than others. Knowing this, you can be selective and schedule daily business so as to save time and effort. Page 12. Write down your yearly goals. Open your drawer or your computer files periodically for review and updating. Goals are just dreams until you put them in writing. What is a geographical farm? Immediately contact your sphere of influence or your network, including friends, relatives, past and present coworkers, trades and service people, etc. On a monthly basis, contact your geographical farm. You'll always have a healthy harvest of new clients if you cultivate your farm regularly. Be sure to let them know the name of your firm and how you can be contacted. A personal note asking about family members and pets is best, but a pre-printed form is also acceptable. Business cards should be included as well as email address and information about your company's website. A short, simple letter of introduction should include your name, the logo, name of the brokerage for which you are now working, as well as the address, mobile phone number, and website information. Page 13. There are many people who make up your geographical farm. These people might be members of clubs, church groups, your friends, your neighbors, your organizations to which you already belong. The list should continually be adjusted and increased. All contacts should be meaningful to you. Naturally, these people also receive appropriate greetings during the holiday season. Thanksgiving cards are a good way to wish your clients a happy holiday season without any religious connotation. Schedule daily activities. Prior to coming into the office, you should write out a schedule for your daily activities. Allow a certain amount of time to return phone calls, develop new leads, and answer emails and texts, as well as other correspondence. Review all new listings and edit out sold properties, including those on MLS and social media sites. In order to be productive, you should start each day with an itinerary, but remain flexible. Take time to answer emails first thing. Soliciting. Call on past clients, buyers, and sellers. Other sources are open to house leads, walk-ins, referrals, door-to-door solicitation, cold calls, warm calls, for sale by owners, and expired listings. Cold calls are telephone calls to people you don't know. Warm calls are calls to people you already know or know they are open to property, and these calls are usually more productive. A friendly title agent can give you a list of homeowners in your geographical area or your geographical farm. Always identifying yourself as a salesperson when calling, and ask if it's a convenient time to talk. Expired listings are listings that do not sell within the contracted period. These are good sources of listings, as the owners are probably still motivated to sell. You must treat them with sensitivity and suggest a new approach for the sale, but never criticize another agent or company. Telephone neighbors to inform them about a new listing or sale by using a reverse directory. Now, this is old school, but it's still in the book. A reverse directory is a website or publication similar to a phone book, where phone numbers are listed by address rather than name. Farming or geographical farming works because you constantly advertise to the same group. It assures you that they know your name and you can expect to harvest or produce an annual crop of clients. Don't forget to ask for referrals from your contacts. Previewing new listings. You should preview new listings as well as review old listings on behalf of potential buyers and for your own information. There may be some important changes, such as condition and price reduction. It is important to let your buyers know that you preview many properties before selecting the best one for their viewing. Naturally, you'll call the seller prior to previewing. Always leave a business card. You must include your California Department of Real Estate salesperson license number on your card. Page 14. The sales kit. The sales kit is simply an inventory of items or aids that you may need in your daily real estate related activities. With them, you should be able to handle both the expected and the unexpected opportunities presented to you. The majority of your sales kit will be contained on your mobile device, such as a smartphone or tablet. But hard copy contracts, addendums, etc., should be kept in a briefcase for easy access. Your personal sales kit may be stored on your mobile device, which is much more useful, but you need to back up your device regularly. When it comes to showing properties, although most buyers search the web first, remember that only direct personal contact leads to sales. Before properties are shown, the buyer should be pre-approved by at least one lending institution. This can be done at your office or at the buyer's home. Do not show more than 5 houses in any one showing. Have the buyer participate in the process by having them write their comments on a buyer's comment sheet with their own rating. This would be found in Chapter 5. Of course, after showing the property, you should keep a list of all properties your clients have seen and a copy of the buyer's comments for future reference. Becoming an expert. Well, right before becoming an expert, send thank you notes. You can do emails, but I would say mail them to everyone to whom you showed the listing, including the address of the property, and keep them in a computer file. It not only creates goodwill with your buyers, but it keeps track of what properties you've shown to clients, which could be important in proving your right to a commission in the safe harbor provision. And we will be reviewing that in Chapter 4. Additionally, pay particular attention to changes in terms, especially changes in price. Now we're moving on to becoming an expert. You should create your own area of expertise by becoming knowledgeable in condo sales, new sales, probates, foreclosures, or property management. The more you know, the more confident you'll be. And this will be reflected in your attitude and conveyed to clients who will appreciate working with a confident and knowledgeable agent. If you join the California Association of Realtors, the National Association of Realtors, and a local board of realtors, there are many advanced realtor designations that indicate a higher degree of education and speciality. For example, the Certified Residential Specialist, or the CRS, designation indicates an agent's advanced training and expertise. Attributes of an effective salesperson. Successful salespeople in general find their jobs satisfying and rewarding, both emotionally because of the satisfaction they get helping people buy and sell their homes, and career-wise because they reach their sales goals and are financially rewarded. Page 15. Enter the broker. While the majority of this text addresses your responsibilities as a salesperson, it eventually transitions into mainly broker's responsibilities. It's only natural as a successful agent that you'll eventually aspire to become a broker. The broker, like the salesperson, acts as an intermediary, a catalyst, if you will, in bringing together buyers and sellers. You'll help others in the acquisition, listings, sellings, leasing, exchanges, financing, and management of real estate. Some brokers just manage their office and supervise their salespeople, while others also get out there and sell. Some brokers don't want to be some brokers don't want the responsibility of running their own offices, so they work for other brokers, and those are called broker associates. Agency representation. The listing agreement establishes a fiduciary relationship, meaning brokers owe a duty of the highest care and confidentiality to their principals, which are also known as clients, whose interests they promote even at the cost of some greater benefit to themselves. Prior to entering into any real estate contracts, there must be full disclosure regarding agency relationship. Disclosure regarding agency relationship. The client that the broker is representing, whether it's the buyer, the seller, or both, must be disclosed to all parties in writing prior to entering into any transactions. And we will be reviewing this in Chapter 3, disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship form. When a broker represents more than one party in the same transaction, it is known as dual agency. This must also be approved and disclosed in writing prior to entering into any transaction. All your clients have the expectation of complete confidentiality. It is unethical for a salesperson to state to the buyer that the price is soft. Your obligation is to obtain the best possible price and terms for your client. When two agents from the same office are representing both the buyer and the seller in one transaction, it is also considered a dual agency. This must be approved and disclosed in writing prior to entering into a contract, although each agent may not know the other agent's client. Directing and supervising. These are the requirements of the broker. Included in this concept are the supervision and the administration of personnel and the guidance of the broker offers to staff in achieving planned objectives. The office manual. found in many brokerage offices to handle recurring situations, is designated to clarify rules and policies for the staff in their relationships inside and outside of the office sphere. In order for the office to run as a well-disciplined team, everyone should adhere to the strict policy regarding the handling of files and clients. As a broker or the broker's manager, you must provide leadership to your salespeople. They should not be expected to learn the principles of salesmanship or supervision without direction. You should encourage questions and be readily available to guide your staff. A detailed office transactional file, which includes all property contracts, documents, and disclosures signed or initialed by the principals, must be approved in writing by you. Let's jump over to page 16. By you, the broker, or your office manager. In an effort to coordinate these activities, you should use a checklist dated and initialed by you and your office manager and the real estate agent. To save paper, a green office will digitally scan items in the transaction file. Now, scanned files, which may include digital signatures, must be kept for at least 3 years in the employing broker's transaction files. Cooperating brokers. A cooperating broker is a broker who participates in facilitating a real estate transaction with the broker who listed the property. As often as not, properties are sold by a broker who is not the listing agent. Compensation to the selling office must be determined at the time the listing is taken and posted on the multiple listing form available to the multiple listing service subscribers. That changed in August of 2024, though. Compensation is completely separate. So this book is actually in the process of being revised. So we're going to skip over that. The reality of compensation is between the client and the brokerage office. Prior to showing the property, prior to listing the property, it is a separate document. Always ask agents to leave a business card in an agreed upon location when showing a property. Collecting these cards regularly, getting feedback from the showing agents, and sharing this information with the seller is imperative. You can check on your lockbox activity online through your computer, smartphone, or tablet to see who has entered the property and in what order. If something is amiss, you know who was the last to enter the house. You should also always close the property door after you enter so another broker doesn't walk in after you without using his or her lockbox code and leaves no evidence of their visit. Commissions. Most brokers are paid a commission based on the percentage of the sales price they obtain on their transaction. In commercial and industrial transactions, the rate of commission is sometimes based on a graduated scale. For example, in the sale of a shopping center, you may be paid 5% on the first $500,000, 3% on the next $300,000, 2% on the next $200,000, and 1% on any amount over $1 million. No matter what the plan is being used, all commissions are negotiable between the seller and the listing broker and determined between them through documentation. I'm going to skip some of the stuff on page 16 because page 16 is not up to date as of August 2024. In some instances, brokers are able to command a fee for their services similar to a lawyer who establishes the amount of the fee on the basis of the time involved. Complexity. Now we're jumping over to page 17. 17 is just a listing. And the top of 18 is complexity of the case, economy, and other factors. So the commission can be associated with these. This fee is usually paid by the person or firm that contracts for the broker's services, be it for acquisition, disposition, exchange, or lease of property. It is important to stress that all commissions are negotiable between the parties and are regionally influenced. The brokerage firm. As a broker, you'll be heavily involved with the managerial functions of planning, organizing, directing, and controlling all aspects of your brokerage. These functions require a lot of time and energy. Because of these demanding and time-consuming tasks, not all brokers decide to open their own brokerages. Some work for other brokers and have more time to devote elsewhere. Nevertheless, a salesperson, if you want to open your own office, you'll first have to become a broker. Getting started in business. As a licensed salesperson with aspirations to become a broker and open your own office, you will need to follow a course pattern along the following steps. One, obtain the required real estate broker's license. Two, create and purchase a domain name. Three, secure the necessary capital. Four, decide on the location to lease. Five, choose a building. Six, obtain a business license. Seven, have a telephone and internet system installed. We're at the top of page 19. 8, open a trust account for the monies that are coming and going. 9, order supplies. 10, arrange for media lines of credit. And 11, obtain office equipment. And then you go further. Agents now often share equipment like desks and printers in the mobile environment. So ordering signs, that's 12. 13, hiring a receptionist. 14, create a policy manual. 15, create a training program. 16, contract for other services. 17, establish connections with an ancillary companies. 18, join local, state, and national associations. That should be, I should put like at the top of this. And then the California Association of Realtors provides the majority of the forms used in real estate transactions. Not all companies use them, but the majority of them do. Number 19, announce the firm's establishment. Number 20, create a website. Your website is an essential business tool. Not only should it be professionally designed, but maintained on a regular basis. Properties that are off the market and are still listed can indicate a potential client that your brokerage is not reliable. You'll also get in trouble with the multiple listing services if you don't update things. Now, keeping up with the competition. The office doesn't just start and stop with the walls of your firm's brokerage. And a side note, if you would like to become a broker, you can have a home office too. Your transaction information should be available anytime, anywhere. That's now possible thanks to applications available from the California Association of Realtors. The CAR, that's California Association of Realtors, is known as CAR. The CAR Lone Wolf Transaction Zip Form Edition lets you connect to your Zip Forms online account, allowing you to manage your online transactions on the go. You can use your smartphone or other devices to create a new transaction list, get the listing forms, add forms, list and modified transactions, generate forms, and email them as well. Types of real estate brokerage ownerships. As a new broker, you must decide what kind of organizational structure is best for your business. This varies with the different circumstances and taxes. As conditions change, an entrepreneur will adapt according to the changes from one form of ownership to the other. Check with your CPA or attorney before choosing the form of ownership that is right for you. And I will say this, it's not in the book. However you want to run your business is something to talk to your CPA about, because they will give you the tax implications if you want to be a sole proprietorship or an LLC. So let's talk about the different types of ownership. Sole proprietorship. A sole proprietorship is characterized by an office run by one owner solely, responsible for all decisions. The owner-manager type of organization may operate alone, but typically employs one or more salespeople. This type of real estate ownership once comprised the bulk of broker firms in California, but large corporations are becoming more common. Disadvantages are the unlimited liability of a sole proprietorship. Let me say that sentence again. Ladies, the students are sleeping. Disadvantage are the unlimited liabilities of a sole proprietorship and the continuous personal supervision and attention required to assure success. The benefits, advantages of a sole proprietorship include, but are not limited to, all profits and expenses accrued. Ladies, we're trying to put people to sleep. No, that's enough. That's enough, both of you. All profits and expenses accrue to the owner. Ease and low cost of organization with strict control on its operations. Flexibility can be maintained. And then dissolution. The business may be discontinued with relative ease. Now, if you use your own name, no DBA is needed. A doing business as or DBA, like the CALI REALTY.net. So CaliRealty.net. That's it. Let me put it on hold and find out what's happening outside. We probably have cats. Sorry if I woke you. All right, let's start at the top of page 21. We're talking about partnerships. Partnerships. Under the revised Uniform Partnership Act adopted by California, a partnership is an association of two or more persons as co-workers of a business for profit. Real estate partnerships are relatively few in number. One partnership must be a licensed broker, like a sole proprietorship. A major disadvantage of this type of ownership is the unlimited liability of all partners. Benefits include partners are taxed as individuals, relative freedom from the government regulation, additional partnerships can be invited to join, retention of valuable salespeople, checks and balances system, greater stability. Under corporation, a corporation is a legal artificial being that conducts business under its California Secretary of State chartered name. The number of real estate companies that are incorporated is growing. Most of these are motivated to incorporate for any of the following three reasons: possible income tax benefits, limited liability, and growth into a large-scale operation that are suited to the corporate form. Ownership in a corporation is evidenced by owning shares of stock. Advantages and disadvantages include liability of the owners, transfer of ownership, We're at the top of page 21, 22. Permanency, income tax benefits, and we'll talk more about corporations, S corporations later on. Now, under limited liability companies or LLCs, the limited liability company is the entity formed under state law by filing articles of organization as an LLC. None of the members of the LLC are personally liable for its debts. An LLC may be classified for federal income tax purposes as a sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation. This type of ownership has become the most popular for small and medium-sized businesses in California and the nation. The LLC is much easier to form and operations, sorry, let's start that sentence again. The LLC is much easier to form and operate than traditional partnerships and corporations. Note, unlike with sole proprietorships or corporations, the Business and Professions Code, BNP code, which is actually what the California Department of Real Estate is under, it does not authorize a limited liability company to become licensed as a real estate broker. As a result, most California brokerages are sole proprietorships or corporations. Record keeping. Trust fund records. All brokerages, regardless of size, are required to keep detailed accounting systems, records of client funds, and other forms. Brokers are not required to have a trust fund account, but most do, especially if they are involved in property management. A columnar record of all trust funds received and paid out is required. Trust funds must be placed in and with one of the following 3 business days: a neutral escrow depository, a trust fund account, or given back to the principal. It is important that client funds be separated from brokers' business and personal accounts. We recommend different banks to be used for the trust fund accounts, which is other people's money. Top of page 23. Commingling is the illegal mixing of client and broker's funds. Conversely, it is illegal practice of misappropriation and using the client's money. In order not to be accused of commingling, brokers cannot put their personal funds in the trust account, with the exception of about $200 to cover services, and that's bank services. The law, sections 10-148 of the BNP code, or the Business and Profession Code, states that a real estate broker must retain for 3 years copies of all listings, purchase contracts, canceled checks, trust records, and any other document executed in connection with any transaction for which a real estate broker's license is required. Records for the transactions involving loans under the real estate loan law are security dealership. Let me start that sentence up again. Records for transactions involving loans under the real property loan law are security dealing transactions must be retained for 4 years. Upon notice of all records must be made available for inspection by auditors or other designated representatives of the California Department of Real Estate. Which is the DRE. The DRE rules allow buyers to deposit earnest money directly to escrow themselves within 3 business days. Now, when it comes to sales records, they need to be kept for 3 years. Keep your filing system uncomplicated. Everyone in the office should know how to file properly and to which account. One way to keep a filing system is to file the transaction chronologically according to the date. From opening of escrow with the cross-reference to the seller and the buyer. All contracts, even canceled escrows and rejected offers, are kept in the transaction file along with all the executed disclosures. Agents are encouraged to keep a paper trail of all communication, faxes, emails, text messages, and telephone conversations during the escrow period. They are also encouraged to streamline their operations. They are also encouraged to streamline their operations by discarding all duplications. The transaction files or digital scans are kept for a minimum of 3 years in the office filing cabinets. We recommend at least 4 years. For more detailed filing information, we will be talking about that in Chapter 10. All files must remain secure in a broker's office or on the office computer. Listings. A listing is an employment contract hiring an agent to facilitate the sale of a property. Most multiple listing services are now computerized and the office listing inventory is readily accessible to the buyer, to the broker and the salesperson. Let's read that again. Most multiple listing services are now computerized and the office listing inventory is readily accessible to the broker and the salesperson. You can see at a glance all the active listings, the listings in escrow, and the closed sales. Keep computer files the same way you would paper, simple and easy to access. Always back up computer files, promptly saving them in a flash drive, external backup drive, or on the cloud. Backup files should be kept at a separate location. Now, purchase contracts and commissions. The sales contract, as well as all rejected offers and canceled escrows, must also be retained in the office for a minimum of 3 years. Commissions are generally paid, top of page 24, through the escrow company, usually from the seller's proceeds to the broker, who in turn issues a check to the salesperson in a timely fashion. At this time, there are deductions for miscellaneously agreed upon shared expenses. After having checked and initialed all contracts and disclosures necessary to close the transaction, the broker pays the salesperson their commission and the records are filed. There is no withholding for tax purposes by the broker because the salesperson is an independent contractor. All closed and pending sales must be reported to the local Association of Realtors Multiple Listing Service within a short period, usually 2 days. If this rule is not adhered to, the agent and the broker may be heavily fined. Now, the bottom of page 24 is the review section of what we just read, and I would love for you guys to go through that, as well as page 25. At the top of page 26, there is vocabulary. Page 27 is the rest of the vocabulary, and you can, on page 611, look for the answers. I'm also using Red Shelf as my digital reading, so the printed book is probably going to have different pages than Red Shelf. I encourage you to use Red Shelf for your books with any of my classes. Pages 28 and it looks like 29 have the quizzes for chapter 1, the quiz questions. And tomorrow we can start on chapter 2. Chapter 2 is prospecting, marketing, and advertising for buyers and sellers. I hope you have a good night.